Hey everyone, it's Andrew Brown, and we are continuing on learning about S3 programmatically. And so we had ran CLI commands using the S3 and S3 API. I don't think I deleted the bucket. I mean, keeping that bucket around is not going to cause you any issues. But before I get started here, I'm just going to go ahead and delete that empty bucket. You can do the same as well, as we're going to create ourselves a new bucket. So I'm just going to delete this one. Notice it wants the bucket empty. I'm going to go click empty bucket, and we'll go ahead and permanent delete. So, if there's something very serious, I would go back and edit a video and make sure that you don't end up with any spend, but an empty bucket or a bucket with very few files is not going to cause you much grief. So, we use the Cloud Shell to run commands, but now what I want to do is start using our code base. And so in another video, I show how to set this up. Of course, you can use whatever you like, but I'm only going to provide instructions for what I'm using because that's easy for me. And I'm going to go ahead and just close out some of these other tabs here and bring this tab in with our other ones. Come on, Chrome. There we go. And we'll go ahead and open this up in Gitpod. This is going to install the AWS CLI, and it already has keys loaded in here. So again, refer to that video. It's not that hard to get set up here. And if you can see, there are no folders here. Different videos will have more folders, some will have less. It just depends on what order I'm doing them in. So just pretend that there's a bunch of folders here already, and we'll create them together when we need to. So we are working on S3, so I'm going to make a new folder here, and we're going to call this S3. And I want to get some practice here with you. So we're going to go and make a new folder in here called I guess bash scripts. So we'll say bash scripts. Okay. And I think it's really important to learn how to write bash scripts. So what we'll do is we'll create some. So we'll make one for creating a bucket. So we'll say create bucket. We will destroy a bucket or remove a bucket. I'm going to try to match them based on what the actual commands are. So this is destroy bucket, create bucket, put bucket. Is it delete bucket? It's probably delete bucket. Yeah, it's delete bucket. So we'll go here. We'll make a new folder here. We'll say delete bucket. Oh, that's not a folder. I want to make a file. I'm being silly here today. We'll go ahead and delete this permanently. We'll make a new file here. Say delete bucket. And I will make another one here, and we'll say list objects. And we'll say put object. And then we can put a sync in here. So we'll just do a sync. I think that's a file. That's a file, yep. And so you might be asking, Andrew, why are you not putting extensions on any of these files? Well, when I create bash scripts, I don't put the .sh on the end of it because I want the script to be portable. And so it's just a convention where instead of giving a concrete extension, you're going to add in here a shebang. And a shebang is going to say what kind of file that this file is. And it's going to be interpreted by the bash terminal. And that's the way I like to do it. So what we need to do is specify the shebang up here. So it's something like this. I always forget the order. Let's go look up which way it is. Shebang. Why it's called shebang, I don't remember. I remember a boot camper told me why once, and I don't remember why anymore. But even though it says shebang, it's pronounced shebang. That's how we all say it. But so there are obviously some alternating names. So it's the pound and then the bang. Okay, so we'll go over here. Oh, that's the order that I have it in. And so there's a few ways that we can specify this. I always kind of forget which way to do it. But the idea is that we want to say the address of it. So they'd be like user local bin, like bash or something like that. So what we can do is go down below here and just say, where is bash? And there it is. There is a difference between bash and sh. I believe we want to use sh as one is more complex than the other. So before we actually proceed, let's just go ask ChatGPT. What is the difference between bash and sh? So born again shell. Yeah, so that's the one we want to use because born again shell has more advanced features. So how should I specify the shebang for using bash? Because there's two ways you can do it. There's this way, and then there's another way. So is there another way to specify bash in the shebang? Maybe something that is more portable? You know, ChatGPT doesn't know how to think. It just can filter. So there are two ways of doing it. There's this way, which is pointing specifically to the bash file. Now you have to check to make sure that is where it is. So if I type that in, this is a user bin bash. So this one here right away would have not worked. And then there's this one here. If you want to make a script more portable and avoid hard coding path, use this, because this is just what is based on common convention for where batch is expected to be. And that's almost what I did. I came pretty close. And we'll go ahead and, whoops, put that in here like this. Great. And so now we have our bash. So I want this for all of these files. We'll go ahead and paste that in. Save, 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 save. That looks good to me there. Good. And another thing that you need to know is that these files are not executable. If we type in ls-la, notice that, oh, well, first we have to actually do that in the folder. So we'll type in S3 here. And so notice that we have DRWX. And so we have RWX, so read, write, and execute. And there are three groups. And so we want the user to be able to execute this stuff. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to type in chmod, which change, modify. It's for changing permission levels within Linux files. I'll do U for user plus X to make it executable. And I want to apply it to everything in that S3 folder. So I'm going to do this here, S3 /bash scripts / to apply to all of them. And now we'll try this again. We'll hit up on the bash scripts. Okay, and you know what? I guess I was not paying attention, but here it did not list any of the files out. But notice here that these are now all executable. It was like this before. I'll show you what it was like. If we do minus, it'll remove it. So we'll just type in clear here, and I'll list them out again. So notice here it says read, write, and there is no X here. And if I hit up with the plus X, they're now all executable. Okay, and that's important because if they're not executable, we're not going to be able to use them. It'll just complain and say it doesn't work. But let's go ahead and write some bash scripts. So the first is our create bash, or create bucket. So let's go ahead and get some practice here. So we have AWS S3 API, and we'll say create bucket, and we'll type in bucket, and we'll give it a name. So here's another thing is like we might want to supply our own bucket name as an environment variable. Let's go ask ChatGPT. How do we pass in or check for the presence of a input variable for a bash script? Okay, it's gonna be like $1 and 2. So what we want is this kind of thing here. There's a few different ways of doing it, but here it's just gonna check if there's at least one argument. So we'll go ahead and copy that. If you need to pause and go copy and paste that in here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and paste this in. And so the idea is that we want to say no bucket name provided. Okay, and so then here this would be $0. I thought it started at 1. I guess not. Oh, here it is. Let's check if at least there is one argument. Well, I don't want it to do that. I'd say check if there is an argument, not if there is any arguments. Again, ChatGPT is not the smartest. All these tools are not that smart. You have to know what you're doing. So this is actually what we wanted. This makes a lot more sense. Okay, so I've seen this so many times, -z. I don't even know what it means, but I just know that's what it uses to check for it. So there needs to be a bucket name. So e.g. /bucket my bucket name. So that will be our first argument. Now that we have that down, we can make check for bucket name. Now we can specify, no, I guess that's it. I was thinking like maybe we need to specify an object, but we actually don't need that. So this is gonna be $1. knew it didn't start at 0. That didn't make any sense. And so, this should create ourselves a bucket. So what we'll do is we'll just type in clear here. And now we'll do period. So that is a way of executing the bash script. We'll say /. That's for executing any kind of executable script, not just bash scripts. If they have this shebang, that it will work. And we'll do S3 bash scripts. And we'll say create bucket. We'll hit enter. There needs to be a bucket name. So I'll just say my new shiny bucket AB. It says the unspecified location constraint is incompatible for the region specified endpoint this was sent to. Okay. I've never seen that one before. But so illegal location constraint. Well, let's type in AWS STS get caller identity. I just want to see where I am right now. Or not where I am, but like, am I actually connected to anything? I am, good. So there's something he doesn't like. Oh, you know what? Maybe we should assign it to an environment variable. That's usually what we normally do. I'm not sure if that's our actual problem, but we'll just say bucket name here. And we'll say $1, and then we'll just say $bucket name here. Okay, you think I know better, but sometimes the things get the best of us. We're still having an issue here. It says an error occurred, a legal location constraint exception. Again, I'm not sure what it is. Maybe the name is too long. Let's go ahead and just echo out this command. So that will print it out. I'm just going to put it in parentheses there. And so we can see what command it's running before it does it. Interesting. So let's go ahead and copy this command here and paste it in below and hit enter. What if I change the name? Okay, what if I specify the region, CA Central 1? All right, well, let's go take a look at what this means. Haven't seen this one before. What does this error mean? I think a location, it's either the region or it's the name it doesn't like. When you're trying to create a bucket in a specific region, but you're not specifying the region correctly. So probably the issue could be my default setting for my region. So, which is unusual because I wrote it in here manually. So that shouldn't be an issue. Okay, well, I mean, I'm pretty sure we made a bucket in CA Central before. At least I did. So I'm going to try US East Central 1. Okay, that worked. So why can't I make that in CA Central 1? Also, I'm typing it wrong, but we'll go ahead here into here. I'm just going to delete that bucket out. It's very important to work with AWS to find out where you run into issues, because this is the hard part. It's not memorizing all this stuff. It's working through these issues. So what the heck? The region looks right to me. Let's try this again. It could be, I thought maybe because the name was too long. Okay. Why is this error only happening for CA Central 1, but is not an issue in US East 1? Okay, so let me just give it a read. All right, so this is not really telling us much. It was just saying like the default region is the default region. So let's go take a look at this out to the internet and see what information we get. It has to be unique in the sense that no other bucket can exist with the same name. I mean, is that the only reason why? Maybe it already exists, but the thing is, these are globally scoped, so it shouldn't be really an issue here. We'll just type in 1, 2, 3, 4. The unspecified location constraint is incompatible for the region-specific endpoint this was requested to. Okay, well, I guess I'm just not making things in CA Central right now, or I'll have to just pay attention to that. But, sometimes things happen and you just don't know why. Like, why would that happen for CA Central 1? We'll just go here and try this again. go here. Regions outside of US East 1 require appropriate location constraint to be specified in order to create the bucket in the desired region. Why? I've never seen that before. Okay. I mean, like, I think that if we were using the other command, like we go back up to here, and we were to write this command for, maybe we can do like AWS S3 make bucket. I feel like we wouldn't have to specify that, but since we're doing it low level, apparently we need it. So we'll go back over here and we'll look up that location constraint. Here it is. By default, the bucket is created in US East. You can opt to specify a region in the request body to constrain the bucket creation to a specific region. You can use location constraint. Okay, so I guess that's the way we have to set it. And then this is us specifying the location constraint. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and provide that. So we'll go here. And very interesting, by the way, like always learning something new. So we'll put that in here. And well, we don't need the echo here anymore. That was just temporarily helping us out. We'll go here and bring this down. Now I like to bring these onto separate lines. It makes our lives a lot easier. So these backslashes allows it to execute a multi-line here. Now this is supposed to be a JSON object, as you saw there. So we could do curlies here, but it usually has like a short form that you can use in line. So we can literally just, see, it says shorthand syntax. So we can literally use that shorthand syntax in place. So we'll go ahead and just copy this. This will just save us time with typos. And I'll put this here. I would recommend putting these in double quotations, always, 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 to make your life easier. Otherwise, it might throw an issue. I'm going to say CA Central 1. So I thought you would specify the region here, but I guess you have to specify it this way. And so what we'll do is give this another try. Whoops. Another thing I like to do is when we have S3 commands, I'll copy the location of it so that when I need to go read about it later, I can easily find that documentation. So we'll go ahead and paste that in here like this. There we go. Great, 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 great. And so now we can then go run this command again. We'll type in clear. And I'm just going to hit up till I can find this command. And I think we'll have to just put some numbers there. And it has a problem because there is a mistake. Notice that it's prompting here, maybe because the bucket name is empty. So I'm going to stop that there for a moment. Double click this. This matches that, so that shouldn't be an issue. So I'm just carefully looking to see if there's any mistakes. It says line 13, command not found, bucket. Oh, it might not be called bucket. AWS S3 API. Thought it was though, bucket. Create bucket. No, it is. So for some reason, it's not taking kind to our backslash here. So I'm just going to go and put this up a line here. And we'll type in clear. We'll try this again. There we go, and it worked. Why it didn't work on a new line there, I don't know. Maybe I had like a space or something weird there. But I want to go ahead and get rid of these buckets here that we're creating. So I'm just going to type the word shiny in here. And we only have the one bucket here, so we'll go ahead and delete it out. And we'll delete that out. Great, 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 great. Okay, so we'll type in clear. And I want to run it again, just make sure that it works. No problem. So there probably was like a space or something that was messing with it. And we have the location of our new bucket. I'm going to just clean that up, and we're going to say query. And we'll say location. I'm not sure exactly how we would query just that. Can we just do that? Let's see what happens there. Clear. And again, I'll go delete the bucket as we'll just fine tune this a little bit. Delete. I like in Azure because they'll give you like a copy paste to do the quick delete, which is nice. AWS will probably update their interface at some point, but for now, it's okay. I want to go ahead and try this again. I'm trying to get back. There we go. So that's looking better. Notice that there's double quotations around it. That's because it's JSON. So we'll go here and say output and say text. And we'll do this one more time. Okay, we'll go ahead here and say delete. And copy this. We'll paste this in. Good, 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 good. We'll go back over here and we'll type in clear. So we'll try this one more time. And now we get a nice output here. So there we go. That's pretty nice. The next thing I want to do is I want to delete a bucket. Yeah, we'll delete a bucket. So that will be our next one. We can pretty much copy and paste this stuff. We'll copy this and paste. One thing I'd like to do is probably have an echo here just to make sure we know what we're doing. So up at the top here, we'll just say echo. I'll just do this and say create bucket. And then we'll bring that over into our delete bucket here. All right, so we'll go down here and I believe it's just delete bucket. We don't need that. I don't know what we get back as output. I think we could, can we do dry runs on these? Let's go take a look here quickly. I think that command's for everything. I don't usually run it, so I'm not 100% sure. But now I just kind of have interest in doing that. So no, dry run does not show up here. Though I thought it was a global flag. Let's try it anyway. I'm not sure, but I think it's a global flag, so it should work with anyone, even if it's not in the documentation here. And we'll just change this and we'll say delete bucket. I already forgot what the bucket name is here, so we'll go back and give this a refresh. That's the bucket name right here. Good. And I'm going to go ahead and paste that in. And no, it does not like the dry run command. So I thought that that would be there, but I suppose it's not. We'll go ahead and type in clear, and we'll try this again. Delete bucket. And now we get back none. So it's not showing, well, there's no location to query. So let's just take that out there. And we'll take this out as well. And we'll just go ahead and create our bucket again. Create bucket, very good. So that is our bucket, and then we'll go ahead and try to delete this. And we get no output back. So I thought maybe we'd get the name back, but I guess not. So that's totally okay, I suppose. So that's delete bucket. Let's go ahead and list some objects. We're going to do something very similar here, of course. We'll say list objects. We might as well use the version 2 since it's newer. Sometimes newer doesn't necessarily mean better. It's just that there's an alternate one, and you have to make the best decision for that. For this one, I can't really see really any difference. We have our bucket name that we're going to want to get here. Let's go ahead and, well, before we do that, we should probably create some resources. So this is okay. We'll come back to this. This one looks pretty much done. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead and create our bucket again. So we'll go back up here, create that bucket. Notice I keep using the same name. I'm not hitting any conflicts. And let's put some objects. So I'm going to go here, and I just want to create a bunch of files. So I'm just trying to think about this for a moment. Let's go ask ChatGPT. Create between 5 to 10 random files using bash. And so we could just use that touch command, but I want it to randomize. I don't want to have to figure that out. Sometimes the bash syntax varies based on what you're using. So here, there's the random output file. I don't really want to create these anywhere in particular. I would probably have the output directory in temp. So all Linux systems will have a temp directory. So we just say temp like that. And that way they'll get cleaned up afterwards, even if you're on regular Linux and not in the cloud developer environment. ensure the output directory is created, so that makes sense. So we'll just say where we'll store these files. Let's create the output folder. And I'll just go here and just say like S3 bash scripts. I'll say mkdir p, and then I'm just going to keep these uppercase. It's a little bit easier to read when it's like that. Sometimes you'll see me alternate from it, but it should really be that. And P means it'll create every folder it has to. So if we made more folders here, it would create them all. So P is always a great flag when you're doing mkdir for making a directory. Generate a random number of files. So we'll go over here and we'll bring this down. I'm going to change this to num files. Random, generate a random number to determine how many files to create. Do that. We'll copy this here. This is using a for loop. For loop is a basic programming primitive that you absolutely should know. I mean, this one's a little bit different than what I'm used to looking at, but I understand how it works. The first one is the value. It starts at 1. It's going to count until the number of files is greater than or equal to that number, and then it will stop. So it's num files here, and then it'll add it each time. So here it's going to generate a random file. So I'm just say output dir. And then there's that one file. And some people might consider these uppercase one as constants, and these ones are not. But I'm just going to put them all in uppercase, so my life's a bit easier. I'm just going to say file name here, file name. I don't need to see all the files being created. I don't care about that. I actually don't know what this dd command is. Let's see if it actually is here. We'll say man dd. Converts and copies a file. Sounds good to me. Just make sure that your Linux has it by typing man dd. If you don't, you can go ahead and install it, or you'll have to adjust the script based on what you're using, or just use gitpod like me and you'll have no issues. So here it's going to, looks like it's going to create a random, it's going to create a file. Looks like it's going to put some contents in there. It looks like it's going to randomize the contents, and it's going to output it to this directory here with the file name. Okay, so I think that's going to work correctly. And so that means that we expect to see these files there. I want to see the contents of those. So there's a command called tree. I think it might be installed here. Is it? Nope. Can we install it? Sudo apt get install tree. Surprised that doesn't come in pre-installed. Tree. There we go. So you might want to go ahead and install that. I'm going to add that to my gitpod YAML file. I'll just say utils here. Say before. And I'll paste that in here. Whoops, that is not what I wanted. We'll go back and hit up. I wanted this. So I'll try this again. So let's just say name before. I'm going to say sudo apt get install tree. And that's just going to give us that tree view, which is really nice to have. I'm going to say name will be here, will just be utils. So just random utilities. Okay. And I'll just type clear here. Okay. So once that's created, I'm going to type in tree here. Before anything else, I probably want to remove the content, because every time we run this, we'll probably want to empty the folders or the files in here. So probably what I'll want to do is first remove everything in that directory. So I'll say, well, let's see what happens if we run it twice. That's what I'm curious about. So we'll go here first and say output dir. Okay. And let's go ahead and run this file and see what happens. So we'll go S3 bash scripts put object, and it's outputting the file. So that is working out pretty well. I like that. So that is good. What happens if we run it again? Okay, so it's not creating new folders. Would mkdir delete? I don't think it does. Does mkdir p delete a directory? When it runs multiple times? I don't think it does. No, it wouldn't. So my only thought here is that this is probably erroring out. It's not telling us that. So there's a command we can run like set 0. What is the set command to stop all commands if there is a failure in a bash script? It's like set hyphen e. There we go. So that's a thing that we'll commonly do. So I'm going to just paste this in the top. I mean, it's not saying that it's failing, but I can see that, oh, we are getting more files. Let's hit this again. I think the thing is that when it does this, it's going to write them over back in place. So the thing is that when we run this multiple times, if that file already exists, it's not going to wipe them out. It's just going to leave that there. So I think we should really clear out that directory every time we run this so we get something different. And so I'm just going to say remove -r -f. So well, I don't think we need the F, but we need the R for recursive. F is when you need to get rid of a folder. Which technically we needed to do. So actually I'm going to do that. I'll go up here and I'm going to remove the folder if it already exists. Sorry. And we'll just do output dir here. Gotta be very careful with these remove commands and these this stuff here. And so we'll go ahead and I'm going to hit enter. And so now it should, notice how we're getting different numbers of files because it's clearing out the folder each time. So that's really good. All right, so now we have our files. And what I want to do is I want to copy those files. So there's two ways we can do it. We can use that sync command or we can use the put object command. The put object command obviously gives us a lot more options, but in practicality, I don't think it's very fun to use, but we do have that sync over here. So maybe this script should actually really be in the sync because sync is for multiple files. So that's what I'm going to do, actually. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut this script. And I'm going to put this, actually, this will be our sync script instead. And just make sure you don't make a mistake like me up here. And we will start this off with an echo. Okay. We'll say sync. Sorry for doing this out of order. I know I shouldn't be going all over the place here. But anyway, so now that we have that, we can just go ahead and say AWS S3 sync. And then we'll specify these files, which is in the output dir. And then we'll do $, sorry, not $. What is it? That's not $. Oh, S3://. And then here I'm going to say the bucket name. Okay, so we'll go back over to create here. And I'm just going to copy this stuff here. And I'm actually going to let it have a second parameter. And we're going to say check for bucket name, check for file name and or prefix with file name. Okay, and so what we can do here, well, no, I'll just say file name. Check for file name prefix. Not the bucket prefix, which is something else. And so here I can just go, well, this is 1. This is fine. 1. I'm just going to bring this down here below like this. And then the next input will be 2. And so we'll just say file name prefix. And we'll say 2 here. And then we'll scroll all the way down the bottom here. And so instead of file, we can just say here, file name prefix. That's what we called it. Yes, it is. Okay, and then we'll go all the way down the bottom. And so now we have the bucket name. And here we could specify, we could just say files. I'm going to put files here. And so I'm hoping that it makes a prefix and puts them in the files, because last time I didn't see it go in there and I was second guessing ourselves here. But let's go ahead and type in clear. And obviously we'll have to come back to this put object script because we kind of skipped over it, but we'll go here and type in bash s3 bash scripts sync, hit enter. There needs to be a bucket name. Of course there has to be. What is the name of our bucket? I forgot. Maybe it'd be useful to list our buckets so we can see the names. List buckets. And yes, I'm doing things out of order, but you know, this is the way you do work. When you need something, you write it and you deviate. So here we're just going to say AWS S3, and we're going to use S3 API because I believe we get more information that way. List buckets. Well, actually, no. You know, we can just do AWS S3 LS because that's going to give us a flat list, and that's a lot nicer, I think. AWS S3 LS. So we'll just try this here. We'll say S3 bash scripts list buckets or list buckets. That's a new file. It's not executable. So if I just go ahead and type in ls-la and we go and look at that, so we'll say S3 bash scripts here. Notice that this one does not have an X on it. So that is something we're going to need to do. So we'll say chmod u plus X. So make the user executable, the user group, the group called user, S3 bash scripts list buckets. We'll type in clear. I'm going to go ahead and try this again, list buckets. And it's listing buckets. I don't really want these timestamps here. I mean, the timestamps are good if it's the latest bucket, but this isn't ordering based on that. I wonder if we can get it to order in a different way. I'm not sure if we can, but we'll go AWS S3, or we'll go up here. And we'll say AWS S3 here. We'll try the simpler one first. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier to work with. We'll go down below. And so we have LS. And I'm looking for the flags. I want to see if there's a way we can order it. Query, profile, region, version, summarize, page view. I don't think so. I mean, like, the thing is that this is going to return probably like 100. Well, you can only have 100 buckets, but I'm not sure what the page size is by default. Maybe it is 100, and so you can get all the buckets in one go. Let's see. The default value is 1,000. Okay, maybe you can have more than 1,000 buckets these days. I thought you could only have 100. But I guess if it's listing objects, sorry, that's not very clear. So maybe what we should do instead is actually use the other command, the AWS S3 API list buckets. And I want it to go into the auto prompt here, sorry. List buckets. Let's see what options we have. Not a whole lot. I wonder if we can sort using JSM path. Let's see if that's possible here. We have filter. How do we sort? Okay, so what I want to do is get back the JSON results. We could probably use JQ to do it as well. So we'll just go ask ChatGPT, can you sort the list buckets result so the latest created buckets are on top? And so the question is, can it do this naturally? Yeah, it's going to use JQ. So that's what I thought. JQ is a library that allows you to sort JSON. And so that's going to be the recommended way to do that. Most things should have it installed. Let's go take a look if that's installed here. So we'll type in JQ, and it is. If you don't have it installed, you might have to do like a sudo apt-get install JQ. JQ is definitely a very important tool for us to know how to use. There's another tool called YQ, which works on YAML files, but it's similar to JSM path where it can filter information. But a lot of times if you get ChatGPT or some tool to generate out for you, it's a lot easier. I'm going to go ahead and just copy this and take a look here. So, you know, the data we're getting back here, if we just scroll up, is well, it's not showing it anymore, but if we just go ahead and type in AWS S3 list buckets, we are going to get back creation dates, right? But that's not how this is sorting. This looks like it's maybe alphabetical, which is not what I want. I realize I've been working with really small fonts here. I guess I'll bump it up. I know I'm notoriously bad for that, but not sure what to tell you there. So let's go bring in that JQ command. And so we have list buckets, and the pipe is going to pass the JSON to JQ. And then we have -r. I don't know what it does, but we're going to select the buckets because the output, if we go back over to here and look at it again, you will see that it has buckets. So we're going to say, okay, period, select the buckets. Before when we were using query, it had a different syntax language. And so this one is similar but different. So we say select the buckets and then sort by the creation date. And then it'll probably order them oldest to newest, or sorry, newest to oldest or oldest to newest. And then it reverses it because we want actually new ones first. Then select the entire array and then give us back the name. So, you don't need to know how to write JQ by hand, but you should be able to be able to make sense of it and read through it as I'm doing it here. Let's go ahead and see if this can do that for us. We'll go ahead and hit enter and paste it in here down below. What do we get? And yeah, our new bucket's on the top. Now, I don't want to see all of the results, so maybe we can limit it. Now, we can limit the results probably using the CLI, but we probably don't want to do that because it's going to muck things up. And I'll explain here in just a moment when we pull up list buckets. So we go to list buckets here. We have probably like a limit option. Usually there is one. Nope, there's not. But if there was, it would be a bad idea. So like in query, you can do some things there, but anyway, my point is that when you do a filter happens before it leaves the server. And if it's going to be ordered in this creation date, or sorry, in alphabetical, and we said only give us 10, it would give us 10 from the alphabetical list, whereas we want 10 from the newest created list. And so we want to filter them here in JQ. So only return the top 5, and if there are more, then follow up with with a string of ellipses. Okay, let's see if we can figure that one out. And so here we can specify a range, so 0 to 5, so that makes sense here. Let's go ahead and modify that. 0 to 5. That's fine. And this command can concatenate the buckets names with the new lines so they appear one per line in the output. Don't know why I need that. Don't think I need that. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead. It didn't exactly do what I was asking for, but that's totally fine. So we'll run this command again. Sorry. We'll go ahead and copy this. And we'll clear this out. We'll go ahead and paste this in. We'll hit enter. We get null. So maybe the 0.5 has some kind of weird effect on it. And so we do need this part here. Let's go double check here. Did I use a period or a colon? Oh, I used a period. That's not going to make any sense. Okay, so we'll go here and just change this to colon. There we go. And I'll try this here locally. And here it says cannot index an array with the name string. Okay. Did we miss something? Oh, we did. Okay, so we have reverse and then we have our usual thing. So we have to select it and then turn it back in an array or something. I don't know. So we'll just try this here. There we go. And so now we're getting our results. I do want to indicate that there could be more. So I'm just going to put an echo after this. And now we'll try to run this command ourselves. And we'll say S3 bash scripts. Okay, and so let's just say list newest buckets. And so that's a little bit more indicative of what it is. And so this way we can get the latest bucket now, or the most recent buckets. Now I might also just want to get a single bucket. So we'll just say get latest bucket here. I'm going to copy this command here, and we'll go to this one here. Latest. We can also just say newest. I feel like newest is a better word than latest. Newest. Maybe newest is not a word, I don't know, but it makes more sense in my brain here. Yeah, newest bucket. And the idea here is I just want one bucket. So this command is not the command that I actually want here. We'll go ahead and copy this. And then we will go back over to here. And I'm going to paste this in here. And we'll go ahead and just say one. How do we select just one? We'll just say, how about just select the first bucket after it's sorted. Let's see if it can do that for us here. It's just 0. Okay, that's a lot easier. Do we still have to do that weird piping? No, we don't. So we'll go ahead and change this. Yeah, JQ, very, very useful tool. And so this will get us only that bucket, the latest bucket. We'll get rid of these ellipses. And I'm going to go ahead here and we'll try this. So we'll have to chmod that file, though. It's a new file. Bash scripts get newest bucket. And then we'll try to run it here. So we'll say bash scripts. Bash scripts. Or sorry, S3. I'm trying to autocomplete the wrong thing. Get newest bucket. And I just wanted to list that out, so I'll just take that out there. Okay, and so, you know, my thought here is that maybe I can then pipe this over to the other one. That's what I was trying to do with this one. But that's fine, we'll just leave it alone. I don't need to get too complex here. Let's go back over to our list objects. So that's what, or sorry, our sync. That's what we were trying to do, right? So we'll go ahead and we'll type in S3 bash scripts sync. And then we can bring in this one here. And we'll paste it in if it lets me copy paste here anytime. Okay, and so it wants also a prefix. So we'll just say my file and we'll hit enter. Notice that it's not printing out that. So clearly it's not creating the address correctly. It did upload the files, which is great. But that's not what I wanted, right? I wanted to show that, that name there. So we'll go back to our sync. And we'll go back over here. And I'm looking for... Here's the issue. So see how we have prefix and then we have a print underscore? It can't handle that. So maybe if we do this, will that fix it? I'm not sure, but let's try it. Let's see if that works. So I'm going to hit up again, my file too, and it does not like that. So I'm going to go out of here and let's just ask ChatGPT if it knows the answer here. So go here. There is supposed to be a underscore. It's not file name prefix. How can I fix this? In bash, let's see what it suggests. Oh, pretty close. So I thought it was parentheses. It's curlies. Okay, so very close to it. Can't remember it all. Don't need to remember it all. Just figure it out. Okay, so let's try this instead. We'll hit up. And so now we're getting the files and it's uploading those files. So this is looking in good shape. So that is more of what we're looking for. Now I want to put a single object in here. So we'll go to the top and we'll copy some of our code here. And we will try put object. Yeah, that's what we want. This will need the bucket. We'll copy these two here. And we'll just say for file name. This is not actually correct. This should say there should be a file name prefix. And this would be my file name prefix. Here, like that. Okay, great. And so we'll say there needs to be a file name. File name. And so we'll go down here. We'll say AWS S3 API put object. It's going to want the body. As we're starting to kind of remember what all these things are, it needs a key. It needs a bucket. So this will be the bucket name. We'll go ahead and grab these two here. And paste that in. This will be file name. We'll have to give it an absolute path because that's going to be the only way we can provide that there. We could also say the key name if we want. No, we could just make it the same as the file. I think that if we don't provide a key, it should probably automatically use the same name. So I'm going to just take that out. I'm going to go here and just say file name. And so I think this should work. Yeah, I think that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and type in clear here. We're going to need a new object, so I'm just going to make one temporarily. So I'll just say touch/temp new file.txt. And so let's go ahead and make sure this command works. So we'll go ahead and type in S3 bash scripts put object. And we will place the bucket name. Already forgot what the bucket name is, so we'll go ahead and we'll type in get newest bucket. Bash scripts get newest bucket. Great, and then we'll go here, copy that. We'll say S3 bash scripts put object, and we will paste that in here, and then we'll give it a space, and we'll say /temp new file.txt. Otherwise, it's not going to know what to do. But here's the challenge, though, is that if that's the name, it needs to know what the key is, and the key can't be the same. So I'll just have to make a separate key here, unless there's a way we can extract out the name. So in bash, take the absolute path and just get the file name and extension. And so we'll have to use some stuff here. So we have, well, we don't need to get the absolute path. We already have it. So I think what we can do is just use this as such. I'm going to paste this in here. And so this will be the key, object key. We'll just say file name, and then we'll go down here and specify the key. And we'll say file name, or sorry, object key. Okay. So that's very clear. And we'll just type in clear. Oh, I shouldn't have done that because now I gotta write it all out again. That's not fun. So we'll go ahead and we'll type in period S3 bash scripts. So it'll be put object. We want to provide this name here. And then we'll give it a space. And we don't need to provide the key because we can extract it from the file name here. We're going to go ahead and do something. We're going to provide the name of the file. So it'll be temp what? Temp something. What do we call it? New file? There it is. Okay, great. Hit enter. And it's complaining. So it doesn't like something. We had this before. Notice that it's highlighting weird here. I'm not really sure why it's doing that. Is it the trailing space? Oh, it's a trailing space. That messes it up. Okay, I did not know that. Great, we'll try that again. We'll hit enter. And so now it looks like it's created. It gave us back an E tag, which is great. We'll go back over here and we will go and take a look at our buckets here. And so there's our new file. So we're in really good shape. The only thing that I want to do here is go ahead and Before we delete the bucket, we need to delete the object. So I'm going to go here and make a new thing saying delete objects. And we'll go to the top. We'll copy this, paste this in. We will grab the bucket name here. We'll paste this in here. We will go down to, I guess we're at the bottom now. We'll just say AWS S3 API, delete objects. And we'll just say bucket, and we'll say bucket name. I think that's all we need. So it'll be delete objects. We'll go ahead and try this out. We have to chmod it first, of course. And so we'll just say S3 bash script delete objects. Good. And I'm going to go ahead and delete them by running this actual script here. So we'll go here and say bash scripts delete objects. And then we'll provide the name of the actual thing here. Paste it in. We'll hit enter. And it's completing container for the request. Yeah. Okay, let's go read up on that. I thought we already had done this once, but let's go take a look here. Unless it was, no, it wasn't in S3, it was S3 API. So S3 API, delete objects. The bucket name containing the object delete. The container for the request. Okay, maybe we didn't do this before, but the object identifier is the unique identifier objects. So it looks like, I don't understand. What does it want? Why does it want that? We'll go down below to examples. Okay, so the following deletes the following object. So it looks like we actually have to provide a JSON file. But I want to just delete all the contents there. So I guess that's not going to really work how we wanted it to work. So in this case, what we could do is we could get the list of objects and then iterate over them and then delete them. So that might be a better way of working here. So let's go take a look here. We have list objects, and we'll go into our delete objects here. And we can run a command within a command. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to do, well, we don't need to grab it from this one. I'm going to go ahead and just grab this command. It's so simple. We'll go ahead and grab that like that. And I'm going to just put this, I'm going to wrap this in parentheses, and this is going to allow us to get the output. And so here, I'm just trying to think here. How could we pipe this over? Because I want to get back the values, and then I want to iterate over it. So let's ask ChatGPT. Get a list objects from S3, then iterate over them, and delete the object. Now let's see if we can do that. Okay, so let's see what it is producing for us. We have list objects. So it's going to dump it to a file. I suppose that's something we could do. In fact, I wonder if we could even just use the object list after that. Let's go take a look. Let's just try that for a second. So I'm going to just type in clear here. We'll type in AWS S3 API. Well, which one was it using? Was it using the standard one? Oh, no, it's using list objects. Okay. S3 API, list objects. Bucket. I keep forgetting that bucket name because it's not a normal bucket name. It's this one right here. We'll go ahead and type in, make sure, just paste that in there. So say S3 bash scripts, or no, we'll just do it regularly. AWS S3 API list objects like this. Bucket, we'll hit enter. And so we're getting back contents, right? But and we could do it this way. Here it's iterating over the object and deleting them individually. But if it wants back a JSON object, we could probably just transform one into the shape it wants. This is objects keys. So instead of this, we'll say so we'll say using AWS S3 list objects, get the JSON results back and transform it for the delete option for the delete objects input, and see if it will do that for us. We're just going to let that generate out there. So here it will output it. Okay, but we need it in a particular format, right? So here we'll do that, and then we'll get the list of it. I'm not sure if we have to really have it outputted as a file. What we could do is take this, right? And go down here, and we could just pipe it. So this is contents.key. The important part is it comes back as JSON, right? So, you know, of course we can have this just return JSON. I suppose we could just do that as well. Let's just see here. If we do this, I know it's suggesting you use JQ, but if we don't need to use it, why are we using it? And so we'll just try this, and we'll say key. And so, I mean, that's fine right there. I like that. And then we want to pipe it over to JQ to create a new JQ, because that's what it would do. So we want to place the keys in there. See, it dumps it to a text file. But this is $key down here. Why? Oh, because it's reading the file, and then it's iterating through it, and it's creating a request per key. Is that really the way it's supposed to work? That seems very inefficient. Objects key. So I'm just trying to think about this, like how could we create this query? This is the format that we want, right? And, you know, even though ChatGPT is suggesting something and it might work, it's definitely not the most efficient. So what I would do is I would go here and I mean, we can get the result from here, and we just say result. Now we'll just pipe it over. So I'm going to just take this here, and we'll pipe it as such. So that'll get us back an array. And maybe what we can do, take a JSON array, and then using JQ, insert the array JQ. Hold on here. Insert each array item as the key, e.g., in an object as such. I wonder if it's going to understand what I'm saying, because that is a little bit messy what I'm trying to ask it to do. I still think we might still have to iterate to get that object, but sometimes if we ask in a different way, it'll be a little bit more intelligent. So here we have the keys, which makes sense up above. That's great. And then, yeah, so that's kind of what we want. Exactly. So why wouldn't have done that before? I don't know. But anyway, what we'll do is we'll copy this. And here it's inputting the JSON. So can we input from a pipe as opposed to a JSON file? And it can get really finicky with JQ there. So yeah, we can use the -n flag, I guess. And so this is what we're hoping for. So we'll go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to go ahead and paste it in here as such. And I just want to single line this. And so, I mean, this is fine. So we'll go here. I'm just going to break this up so it's a little bit easier to look at. So we'll do that. And then we'll do this. And so what I'm hoping for is that it will give us what we want here. Well, this is doing JQ. Again, we don't need to do it that way. We can just use query right here. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'll just paste that in here. And then that way we can get rid of this line. There's no reason to double pipe it. I'm just going to, again, make this a bit easier to work with. Okay. And yeah, there's our pipe. So let's see if we get our result that we want. Just type clear down here. Whoops, clear. Clear, 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 clear. And yeah, again, I've already lost the bucket name. We'll go ahead and copy that. Just to make it easier, I'm just going to export that name. I'll just say bucket here for now. And that way my life will be not so miserable. And so we can just say AWS, or sorry, we'll go execute this now. So we'll say AWS S3 bash scripts, delete objects, and we'll pass in the bucket here. Command not found, line 15. Oh, all this stuff here is not supposed to be there. We'll go ahead and try this again. No such bucket. It's because we need to have a $sign here, sorry. And so now we're getting back the object. So that is looking pretty good there. It's showing all the possible files, so that looks good. I'm not sure what's going to happen if it tries to delete a file that's not there. But that's fine. So that looks pretty good to me. So now that we have that, we can then pass this on to the delete objects. So we'll go here and say delete. So the question is, how would we go about doing that? We could probably just say, delete JSON file or JSON here. And I'm going to just try this. I don't know if it'll work, but the idea is that this will set an environment variable with the results of that JSON file. And maybe we can just say delete JSON like this, and that will work. So that's what I'm hoping for. So what we'll do is go ahead and do this. Fingers crossed. Unknown options. So there's something it doesn't like about our file here. Well, that's the name, right? Key. Let's go back and check one more time here. So, I mean, that looks fine. Is that what it wants as the output? Let's go back over here to the delete. That looks like the structure. And it says unknown options. It could just be the way that we're passing it. Noticing that it's breaking them all up and it's doing something really weird. Sorry. So okay, so the question will be really, how do we push it? So this is not working. How can I pass the JSON along to the delete object? I guess the other thing is that we could just make our lives easier and just output this to a file. There's really no reason that we have to make this super complicated. What we can do is just say, we can output this to JSON. Let's go back here. Did this provide an example? Can we output the JSON or the JQ file to a specific file, e.g. temp delete JSON? I'm not sure if we can. Okay, so it's similar. Yeah, so that's what I thought. So we'll go ahead and try that. And we'll say delete objects. Well, maybe this goes on the outside. So we'll check here. Yeah, on the outside. So we'll go here and say delete objects.json. And then this way we can actually inspect the file as well. And we're not going to do this. We'll just say temp delete objects. JSON. Okay, that looks really good here. And we'll close that out. We'll do clear. And I'm going to go ahead and try this again. We'll hit enter. This is okay. What doesn't it like? Is it because it's a full path and it's not a file? All right, well, let's cat out the file. Let's make sure the file was created first. It's there, so that file's fine. I don't think it's the file that's the problem. It's probably just it wants to like it might want protocol in front of it like this. Sometimes it wants that, so we'll do that. It's triples because 2 and then 1 for absolute path. Again, I'm just guessing. I'm not 100% sure here. Fingers crossed. And it looks like it deleted those files. Very good. We'll go back over to here. We'll refresh. It's empty, so that's perfect. Now we can do our final thing, which is delete our bucket, which we already did before, but let's go ahead and just delete that. So we'll just go ahead and say S3 bash script and delete bucket. Now remember, we just temporarily set this here, the bucket environment variable. If you restart this environment, it might be gone. But there we go. So now we're all cleaned up. And we did a lot of impressive stuff with bash scripting. Is it important to do bash scripting? Absolutely, yes. You're going to be doing this on a day-to-day basis. So I know it seems like let's just learn AWS and all this other stuff. You got to know this stuff because this will not get covered by any other content instructor. It's just me who likes to make sure you have this stuff because I really want you to get the role that you want, whether it's cloud engineer or DevOps engineer. Even if you're working in tech and you've been doing it for years, if you have been writing bash scripts, this is your time to get that under your tool belt, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna save this stuff. So we'll just say bash scripting for S3. There we go. And that's it. I'm gonna stop my environment and we'll see you in the next one, okay? Ciao.